Hey y'all, Bearded Bros Golf Show back at it again. I am Rod.
And I am Marcus.
I am sorry to say, have y'all deal with the time change. Like, it's interesting being in a part of the world that doesn't observe, daylight savings time, that is strictly a United States thing. So now we are currently 14 hours difference from each other. So it's 11:30ish where I am right now, and 9:30ish in America or Central Standard Time. So very different. Feels even weirder than the 12 hours now that, again, daylight savings time is hit. But as I was putting together the show notes and looking through some stuff, even though there wasn't that much golf played this week, only the LPGA and Asian Tour going, there's still a lot to talk about. A lot of
Yeah.
stories out there, a lot of things happening. As mentioned last week's show, got a chance to go out to the Maybank Championship with the kiddo. I'll talk a little bit more about that near the end when we talk, more in depth about the tournament and just the experience there and, just observations from that. So let's get into it. Um, let's just talk about the cover story. I always like to do that. I knew this one would get you. Um, you have never let the insider trader uh, title go for Phil Mickelson, and apparently this man has been caught up in another one. Just due to the current politics, I don't think anything will happen because grifting is part of the name, the name of the game right now. But Phil Mickelson heavily involved in a oil company out of Texas. That's at least where the company is based. I think this offshore drilling thing is happening in California. The story is linked below. But, you know, Phil Mickelson sharing insider knowledge in his connection with this CEO for this particular company in a group chat that is not okay. Again, you can't have inside information about a company and share it if it's publicly traded. If it's a publicly traded company, the world has to know this information, not just a handful of people. Again, this man has already been on the hook, had to pay back like $1 million back in the day for a similar incident. So, what are your thoughts, bro?
Uh, I mean, it was never a time where he was going to beat the allegations. Just further confirms it here. Uh, Grimy people do grimy things, no matter how much they try to have this facade of looking like a nice guy and the curt smiles and head nods to the crowds and stuff like that. But you know what? If you're into that type of thing, you go be shady with that guy over there. Um, that is not up in here though. I'm just gonna tell you that's not up in here though. But yeah, I mean, it does not surprise me at all that this dude is affiliated with this type of ongoing,
Behavior?
and
Yeah.
that it's happening at this juncture in the states. So yeah, I mean, one and one makes two. It ain't no other addition need to be added.
Hey, and I will say, like, looking up photos for Phil Mickelson compared to where he was just a few years ago, the man is aging pretty rapidly. Like spoiled, like milk left on the counter. Phil Mickelson is, I think the stress and the hate, because if you watch his X account these days, which they keep forcing notifications to me, even though I've like blocked him, tried to silence it, I still get notifications from Phil Mickelson. And the man is pretty hateful these days. So nothing ages you like lies and hate. And you can see from the cover photo for this episode, he is aging in that way very
Yeah.
rapidly. Looks just out there, bro. Something ain't clicking correctly with the brain cells, and it shows.
Yeah, it's funny because he made a push for like a wellness company, and it does not seem to be doing very well for him. I mean, it just maybe he's not, using his own products per se, but it's supposed to help with recovery, supposed to help with metabolism and those types of things. Really, honestly, if you just look at his face alone, Lefty really just looked like he doing some. Looks like
A
he's
little
just
booger
on the
sugar.
slope. Yeah, it looks like he's more on the slopes than anything. But you know, uh, that is his life to live. If he wants to, it's just, oh my god, bro. It's just a joke at this point, bro. I can't, man. I can't,
I
bro. His
know.
eyes be so bloodshot when he's doing the interviews now. Like he is stressed for real, bro. I don't have it in me to do any more hating than I have already done. If he
I
wants to be
I've
a
just
goofball over in that lane, he is
I
more
just
than
still
welcome.
feel like, bro, get a razor or something, bro. Maybe that could do some improvement. But I mean, like you said, he's invested in his health company as well. And if he's the model for the product and how it's working, there's probably a reason they're not seeing the success that they may want to see. So
Right.
anyway,
It's called For Wellness, by the way. We're not gonna. If you want to, dive down that route, that is the name of it. Literally, For Wellness. That he probably stole from somebody
FORE,
else. No, FOR.
like the
Like
number.
I
Okay, I thought maybe there was they tried to tie the golf into there, but no.
like the adverb FOR, literally For Wellness.
Interesting.
Like that's what I'm saying. He probably stole the title from somebody else, but that is common English wordage, so pretty hard to tie that down and be like, yo, like he stole that from me, even though we know he did.
True.
Anyway,
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Phil Mickelson in his life and if this case does go anywhere. Um, I always, especially with media current time, when information like this comes out, pretty detailed to be honest with you. Reading through the article, very
yeah,
detailed information about what is going on. They have access to the chats, which says a lot.
yeah,
When people are put out there on Front Street like this, it's intentional. Like I don't think things like this in today's day and age, with the kind of limited capacity for media, and also as we've talked about, how sloppily journalists handle their jobs as a routine. That when something comes out like this, that is very much someone did it on purpose, dead to rights. So it'll be interesting if it actually goes to court, if there is a prosecutor willing to take the case up, and I don't know, hold his feet to the fire because again, it just caught red-handed in the group chat.
literally,
Um, I mean, the internet is forever, bro. You put something out there like that, um, somebody. Thank God, it seems every day morality is slipping. So to have someone at least willing to say, "Hey, this shit didn't feel right. I got this information I shouldn't have had. Let me turn this shit over to somebody. Put it out there. Do what you want with it." And go from there. So we'll see. We'll see how it progresses. Early in the story happened this week, but again, pretty comprehensive
yeah,
reporting from the jump. From the jump, they're like, we're not going to tiptoe into this. Let's get straight to the goods. Phil out here on that bullshit. So
yeah,
let's
truly,
let's let's keep it rolling. We'll hit our other live story just to get it out of the way, or live related story.
yeah,
Over on the Asian tour, playing in Hong Kong, Tom McKibbin. I know you hate Tom McKibbin, or at least it seems short sighted what he did in terms of his path. Um, Found a way to make it work out for himself. Wins this Hong Kong tournament on the Asian tour, punches a ticket to the Masters and the Open Championship for this coming year. Kudos for him for doing that. And honestly, they were playing some of the replay last night as I was going to bed, and he took off from the field. At one point, he was only up like two strokes, ended up winning by seven, and that all occurred on pretty much like the last 11 holes where he was able to extend that lead out and assert dominance. So at the end of the day, like any of these guys that have been able to get entry into the majors, how do they actually perform when they go play? We've
yeah,
seen the hype around Joaquin Neiman going into the Masters the last couple of years. the man just hasn't been able to perform up to snuff with the hype. So, what do you think about this success per se for Tom McKibbin?
Uh, hey, look, I don't hate Tom McKibbin. He just makes bad decisions financially that I have no control over. So I'm just gonna judge from afar. But if you want to go sign over if you want to sign a 3 year, $8 million deal when you could make that literally in a season on the PGA, go right on ahead, brother.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
this is true.
Anyways,
This is
you
true.
know, that's all I'm saying. But in other news, I was cheering for Deck, Appy Barnett, my usuals. Uh,
Right.
my favorite tie. He was competing for a long time, but yeah, just like you said, Tom McKibbin took off, and I mean, yeah, he showed a lot of grit. I mean, because that course it's not like the course was wide open for the taking. You still had to hit shots. From what I
Yeah.
saw in the replay and everything like that, of course, we're not getting Asian Tour golf live. We're no way we'd
No,
be able
you're
to
getting a
do that.
replay.
There's
No, they
no
were
way.
heavy on the LPGA.
But I mean, not all the livers, but a lot of them were there. Peter Uline made a an appearance out there. He was up there
Pat
chasing
Reed.
on the leaderboard. Yeah, and then Peter Patter. I'm surprised Uline had his shirt tucked in today. Usually, he shirts he shorts with the shirt untucked like Thomas Peters does. Just unserious tour, but probably had to tuck his shirt in
Uh,
because
uh,
he was on the Asian tour. We'll see.
Apparently, Anthony Kim. I saw Anthony Kim with pants, a belt, and a tucked-in shirt as well. So, um, it, per usual, like trying to create hype necessarily deserve it. Touting Anthony Kim's best two professional rounds. Since his return, I think he shot, like something like five under for the two rounds, making
Yeah,
the cut and getting to play the weekend. But it's like, dude, the bar is so low on that, and I didn't see where he ended up finishing. But yeah, I mean, there's a crap ton of people that are. I mean, the kudos to the Asian tour. They're getting a lot of run out of this live stuff. I mean, I'm
yeah,
going through the names. We'll go top to bottom. I mean, there's a ton of names that just I'm scrolling through and that are popping up. So like you said, a lot of the live guys. This had 138 entrants.
hmm
That's Siwon Kim, who's like the guy that we don't know. He's damn near the bottom at 127. Ollie Snyder Jans 121. Net blast from the past right there. Chase Kepska, Chase Kepska, bro.
Look at that.
Tied with T109 with Dean Burmester and Martin Keimer. Wade Ormsby also T109. Caleb Surratt T100 with like a ton of other dudes. They're not performing very well. They're
Oh,
playing.
I was
They're
about to
teeing
say
it up, but
so.
they're
So stinky. Okay, noted.
yeah, yeah. Again, a lot of ties here. Um, T69 with like 15 other guys. Danny Lee, um, Graham McDowell also T69. Solo 68th for Jason Kokrak, getting out a wonderful $5,000 there for his
Woohoo!
times. Pat Reed, and Richard Bland tied at 31st. Yeah, it's 15K. I mean, yeah, I mean they're getting them out there. So 21, Kira Deck unfortunately fell down quite a bit. David Puig 14, T14, um, Matt Jones T6, Louis Oosthuizen T3, and then like you said, Peter Uline solo second, and Tom McKibbin 360,000. That's not a bad take for an Asian tour event. Peter Uline 220 for that solo second. So yeah,
Yeah,
man. I think they're getting the message. You got to play golf. You have to tee it up. You have to keep your game tight. You can't just show up. At least some of them, right? I mean, we're not going to see John Rahm for months at this point. Brooks Koepka has also been playing. We know Terrell Haddon's probably going to play on the DP World Tour in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it's very interesting to see the I don't know. I don't know what this is signaling, but we're definitely starting to see a lot more kind of swing part of the season getting participation from the live guys.
Yeah, truly. I think yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I would be trying to play. I saw literally last week. I'd be trying to play as much as I physically could on the DP World Tour until they told me I could not. Because once that favor runs out between that Live and DP World Tour partnership, and the PGA and the DP World Tour start holding hands more and more, then you're gonna see how much it's gonna dry up. I mean, if you want to play, I mean, but the Asian Tour golf is gonna be there, so you're just gonna have to make a few more flights over there and stay on the East Coast. I mean, stay on the eastern side of the world, but I mean, it's a worldwide game as they have claimed it to be, and so hopefully they can find somewhere that's going to allow them to play, other than the 14 times they play for Live. So yeah, but
Right. I mean, it's a
we're
good
not
right now.
limited
It's a
over
good
here.
partnership. No, but I think now that Greg Norman is no longer involved with the live tour, there seems to be a lot less direct shots thrown at the
Yeah,
PGA Tour and other tours because, again, I never understood his approach of combativeness and trying to mend whatever wounds or make this work because I think they definitely overplayed their hand and thought that they could just steal a ton of market share. But like you said, the time difference is real. Like I get wanting to have like golf be a worldwide phenomenon, but the truth is that there are certain areas, especially in Asia, Southeast Asia, where golf is a little more prevalent than other areas, right? Where it's more focused on. And so trying to shift it, like they've had tour stops, like clearly, like a lot of their Saudi tour stops don't do very well in terms of crowd participation, getting them out there. Australia, that's a whole nother ballgame. Those have been really good events for them. I think they've had a mixed bag as it relates to them playing in Asia. You got to pick the right spots. For my own, because we were talking about this pre-show, my own experience in traveling to Japan, where golf is popular, but it is very much like a classist. It's
elitist.
even more so. Oh, very much so. Very much so, more than the United States. It is not accessible to average people. So, like when we were traveling around, that was our first stop. I would have my golf clubs, and people were like, "What's this big ass travel case?" Because it stands out, and if you're a golfer, you know what it is exactly. Immediately. And so, like a couple of the drivers that we had, like, oh, golf is, like they were looking at us like we were super fancy because I play golf. Did I get to play in Japan? No, but still had the clubs with me. But again, there was this perception that, like, ooh, you're fancy because you play golf. Golf is not close to the cities. This week, I think the ladies are going to a place right outside of Kyoto. When we were in Kyoto, didn't see a golf course. That is one thing that in the U.S. you drive around. Oh, there's a course.
Yeah.
Flyovers. Oh, there's a course. You don't see that in Japan. They are very much on the outskirts, by the mountains, away from city centers. Currently in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, golf is everywhere. Golf courses are in the city, on the outskirts. Golf is readily accessible. It's a great place for golf. Went to an
Mhm.
LPGA event, which we'll talk about. Very heavily attended. Had the stars out. Attracts the big names to come play here. Um, I'd say Thailand, a mixed bag. Vietnam, a bit of a mixed bag as well. Probably kind of that elitist thing as well in Vietnam. So you got to pick the right spots if you're going to make this a worldwide game. That's just my observation on that aspect of it, and live just not consistent. We know they don't play the very rarely are they going back to the same places that they've been in the past, which
Yeah,
also doesn't help.
yeah, yeah, bro. I think there was with just to kind of circle back to Greg Norman. I really just think that there was a lot more one way hostility. To me, it kind of just levels up to Dallas versus Houston. I'm sorry to put that out there for you Houstonians, but Dallas sites really don't care. We have our own battles to deal with, and it's very much internal. Like we don't like
And Houston does not get mentioned in that competition.
the hate is internal. We hate the Cowboys just as much as you do. So I just don't understand why y'all feel the need to always bring that up. But that's what I akin this
Yeah.
to. Greg Norman is
Shout out
sending
to our
shots to
shout out to our cousin Charles for
right.
he's the poster boy for that one-way conversation.
Um literally nobody cares. Like if y'all want to split off, go ahead. So yeah, now that they got the new commissioner in there, hopefully he'll heal some wounds and kind of smooth things over and kind of try to stretch some relationships and see what he can do going forward, or maybe get it to last a few
On
more
both
years.
sides.
Right,
On both sides. So now,
right.
both PGA Tour has its own new guy and so does Live. So we shall see how that
Yeah,
relationship pans out.
the PGA dude didn't seem very. He didn't seem like he was going. Just to put it out there, he seemed
Right.
very in his first little presser, his little mini interview. He was like, "Yeah, I'm on the mission that's ahead. It just seems like we need to get things in order on our end, get things a little bit more competitive. We got a committee that we're going to go ahead and start up, and we'll deal with that as we get to it." I was like, "Okay, bro.
Right.
Listen, if you want to cut that
Right.
off, go ahead." Okay, bro.
And any entry of Tiger Woods into that says a lot, right? That
Yeah,
him being Tiger being forward facing in those conversations involving Live, he's been very clear on where he stands when it comes to PGA Tour and Live. So Tiger is not going at all. So
absolutely.
I think the stance is very clear, and we've talked about it. We're not fans of we're not super fans or stands of either one, right? You put a good product out there, cool. If you do,
We're
you
gonna
do.
watch
If you don't, yeah, exactly. And so the PGA Tour has done a decent, I'm not going to say stellar job, decent job of responding late. Shout out to Jay Monahan being, very slow to actually respond. He could have actually preempted a lot of this, but once they finally got some footing behind them, we talked about changes in the footage and how they documented events and showing better angles, better TV product. Because at the end of the day, there's only a limited amount of people that are actually experiencing a PGA Tour event in person. There's
it. Yeah,
very few that are just widely attended outside of like the waste management, your majors, things like that. The tournament crowds are going to be limited, so the majority of your people are coming on TV. You have to have a good experience to be able to correspond with that. So, like I said, the PGA Tour has done a decent job, also getting the stars to show up to certain events, even though we don't like the no cut events. Those are becoming way too frequent. You're still getting the names that we know, care about, and the players that we also want to see play. So decent response. Late,
yeah.
but decent to kind of quell that. And we know Liv is on record of not spending any more money to get the names because John Rahm being the last major get for them didn't move the needle. So I think Liv is even saying like, hey man, we can't get eyes on our game. They know the numbers. They see the Fox ratings. We know the CW ratings were trash. So
Ooh, boy, poverty,
poverty
poverty.
numbers. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the Maybank Championship. Blessed to be over here at the time that the tournament was going down. Again, outside of Nelly Corda, a lot of good names in the tournament. So world number one, Gino Thidakun was here. The Thai contingent, quick flight, as you mentioned. We came from Thailand last week. The Thai contingent. It's a quick, cheap flight over the border,
Yeah,
and just realizing there's a lot of intersection between them and Malaysia. Me and my daughter were talking to this really nice gentleman that was kind of minding the ropes on the tee box, and we were just chatting it up. And so slow time, people were passing through. It was a section of the course where a lot of holes were kind of converging. So we just had a time to talk as we watched groups pass. And he was just talking about how he's, was missing Nelly. That was the big thing that he was talking
Mhm.
about, but kind of giving us a heads up on when Gino was coming through, and he's like, "Hey, you might want to, get tight to the ropes. We're gonna get swamped here in a little bit." So everywhere Gino went on the course, she had a big contingent following her.
Yeah.
So it was cool. The LPGA players and experience. I don't care if you have a son, a daughter, they are great with kids. So like my daughter has a new favorite player. It's Ina Yoon from Korea. She's a young rookie.
I'm gonna
Gave
say
my
she
daughter a
just turned
wave in the
pro.
yes, and killing it. We were
Yeah.
looking up, on the LPGA app, and probably like 500,000 in earnings in her rookie year. Really, really going to be a really good player, which will also talk about the winner as well
Yeah.
as a
She
rookie,
gets
PGA
pure.
Tour rookie. Yeah, but yeah, the ladies are great. We were on that same tee box, and Angel Yin came up, and I kind of like whispered, "Go Angel, USA, USA," and she laughed, turned around, went up to her tee to the tee box, hit her shot, came back, or when the other players hit, she kind of slowed down, came over to us, and said, "Where are y'all from?" Kind of talking, like shows. She's like just laughing about it, and I said Texas, and she's like Dallas, and I'm like, "Yep." She's like, "So cool," and her and her caddy were kind of laughing about it. So again,
In a Yoon?
LPGA. No, this was Angel Yin.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
fault.
Angel Yin shouted, gave us some interaction. And so my daughter's two favorite players are now like Ina Yoon and Angel Yin. But then we at the end on 18, we were again kind of following along and got a picture with Ina Yoon and my daughter. So I'll talk more about that in a short and post that a little bit later. But again, a great experience if you're able to go to an LPGA event. To me, a lot more interaction with the fans than you would see at a PGA Tour event. That's just been my experience of going to multiples of each, and the interactions and how they set up the tournaments is very much fan centered. At the LPGA events. But anyway, the winner, Miyu Yamashita, came out this year, won the Women's Open for her first, not professional, but LPGA victory, being a major, which is crazy. And then came back from eight back on Sunday to get into a three-way playoff and ends up winning on the first hole, knocking in a birdie. Yeah, she's gonna be a baller. Look at her first year earnings. I think she's near $4 million on the LPGA. So that says a lot. It made me
Yeah.
when we were talking about Tom McKibbin, like, look, if you have the results, you can make the money on any tour. So for
Right.
her, year one, having a 4 million in earnings, Ina almost half a mil in earnings, success brings you money on any tour. So I think it definitely is short sighted from Tom McKibbin. But how much of the tournament did you get to watch? I know you were up late because we were texting. What did you think about the tourney?
Oh yeah, I mean it was a good. I mean, I always like the course when they come out to play. You know, it was a long. I mean, for the longest, it was an event where DP World Tour and the LPGA Tour both played before.
Mhm.
Like they were both playing at that course in Utah, the Black Desert,
The Black Desert, yeah.
the Black Desert course or whatever. So yeah, I always enjoy getting to see the footage and it being so far ahead. It was like coming on at like 8:30, 9:30,
Right,
and
right.
I'm like, okay, I mean like this is great. You know, live golf as I'll eat dinner and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great. Who did I watch? Who was on TV the most? They had Angel Yin and her group on TV pretty much all of like Wednesday, but then like the day you
Mm.
showed up, Angel Yin wasn't really having her best round, so they weren't really showing
Right.
her on coverage. I think she ended up going like 2 over or something like that. I don't know on that third day. Y'all
Yeah.
Saturday, our
Not
Friday.
yeah, not a good
Moving.
middle part of the tournament for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just a great product. Wait, what did Yamashita win the Open or was it the U.S. Open? Maya
No,
Stark
the
won the
Open
U.S. Open
Championship.
somehow. Okay. Um. Yeah, I thought it was a really good tournament, and I don't know. I was cheering for Hyujin Choi, who went 1 over on her
Right. To
final
finally
round.
get to finally get hers. I think she's got like 29 top 10 finishes without a win at this point. Had the lead for 3 days. And
Yeah,
really 3.5 days.
yeah, and then Hannah Green almost won it again. She won it last year, right? Or was that a different week? I don't know. She
It's
plays
a
good over
different
here.
week.
She plays good over here
She does
too.
play
But
good in Asia.
and she did not shoot anything. Her worst round was a 3 under 69. And that was on Friday, so she definitely knows her way around. And she made a clutch birdie putt on 18 to get into the playoff. She wasn't
Right.
even like when I was looking on the leaderboard. She wasn't even a part of the top people on at that 17 under. She was
Right.
just
There were so many people tied for third at the time at that
right.
17 under that it just kept dropping. I was like, they actually had to focus on each player to then show that they were T3. It was kind
Yeah.
of wild.
So they showed her, and then she made the putt, and then she fist pumped. I'm like, oh, okay, she did that to get to 17. That's cool. And then it shows her going to 18, and I'm like, what, huh? So that was
Yeah.
cool. And then
Right. And
um,
Choi actually should have been, honestly, that
she had
par
a putt to
five
win it.
was pretty gettable. It's pretty
Yeah,
gettable. Um, so yeah, it's unfortunate for in her
yeah,
case, right? That she had
yeah,
a chance to
yeah.
win it outright.
She wasn't gonna win it. She wasn't gonna win it in that playoff. She wasn't carrying any momentum. It was gonna be Yamashita or it was gonna be Hannah Green coming out of that playoff. Especially if it was a 1 or 2 hole playoff. Like Hugh Choi was not carrying any confidence going into those latter part of the rounds. I mean, she
Hmm.
essentially duffed it into the water. The lie was not very conducive to a good shot, but she took on too much thinking she was going to be able to make it, but she ended up literally like duffing it, and it traced and traced and then ended up taking the slope and went into the water, and she made a double on that
Hmm.
hole. When if she just, much like an amateur, she just took her medicine or whatever, she would have been able to get out.
Right.
You know what? Oh, my apologies, Rod. She had a bogey on 10 on a par 5,
Yep.
then was able to get up and down and save bogey. But she had 2 bogeys in 3 holes. That's why it felt like a double. But I mean, any
Right.
kind of
And
any
that
kind of backing up
that
in the
whole
LPGA is bad.
right. And that hole is very tough. The one where she ended up going in the water.
Yeah.
That Saturday, watched Lydia Ko put it in the water from a bunker. Very enticing because it's not a long hole, but
Hmm.
again, there's a lot of trouble around it. And yeah, take your medicine, get up and down. But it also goes back to what we talk about very often is that Sunday closing day, you got to shoot under par.
You have
You
to.
cannot go one over par and expect to win. And this is a course where you could hit a number, you could go score a little
Yeah.
bit. Um, the one thing that the TV does not fully display is the amount of hills. Like every hole is pretty much like you're either the
You're heading
previous hole
down
you're
into
going
the
down.
pit. Hmm.
Yeah, you're going down and then back up a hill. The walk is crazy. My daughter was exhausted. So, when we found that kind of middle part of the course where we could just kind of stay up on and see a few different holes, you do so because the walk is for those who walk that. Anybody going to Japan to play the last leg of this series, is going to be tired. They're going to have to take an extra rest day because yeah, that walk is the beast, and there's no way to shortcut it. And yeah, shout out to those ladies. The conditioning is crazy, which is something that I posted a short about. Is that up close, like benefit? Shout out to this course, being able to get really close on the tee boxes. Every player and their lower body strength and conditioning crazy. I mean, like the
Oh yeah,
calf definition, thigh. If they were wearing like shorts or a golf skirt, the thigh definition nuts. Very much like optimizing their lower body turn and strength. It was very interesting to see. And I've been to other LPGA events, and maybe it was just because they were wearing pants. But again, in this 90-degree humid weather, a lot of shorts, a lot of golf skirts, you could really see the conditioning and the work that they put into their lower bodies. So shout out to all the amateurs. Don't skip leg day. Go get your ass in the gym. I
yeah.
guarantee it'll be a game changer to actually work on your lower body and get that more powerful. And I think it'll change a lot of people's games to do that.
Yeah, I mean the name of the game right now is core flexibility, and then getting your power from the ground up. You see a lot of powerful swings nowadays. They are literally
Yep.
jumping off the ground, off the tee, and then I mean I hate to bring up his name, but Tiger pretty much revolutionized this. The squat
Yep.
into the spring up into the shot. That was all
Yep.
Tiger. That was early 2000s, late 90s. He was doing that.
Before
And
the
now,
technology.
right, now a lot of people are doing the same thing because they are realizing how much power is created. If you continue to have a good back, if you continue to have good flexibility and be able to make a decent turn, your legs are going to create a lot of that power. You just think about Mike. Mike not Mike, our friend Mike, who's like a +2 handicap, real stick. I mean, this guy just, not to throw him under the bus because I'm a fat guy right now as myself, but he's not necessarily in the best shape, but the leg power that he gets out of his swing, it just produces so much power. It's just an
Yeah.
easy carry for him and stuff like that. And if you're a friend of the show and if you're a friend of Mike, you know how easy it is for him to um produce power like that. So I just wanted to say
Yeah.
that is the name of the game.
Which is so interesting because there are so many other ways now to generate power that it's sad what kind of is happening to Will Zalatoris and having back issues so early in his career.
Right.
And hopefully he's able to kind of revamp that swing. We've seen Jason Day change his swing and find new ways to generate power as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's just back in the day, back issues were something that happened a lot more frequently, but as technology is allowing players to see themselves on camera, look at the angles. I saw a clip of Tony Finau. I think it's at the TPI Institute or something like that, with all the sensors and
Yeah, that's one of
kind
my
of
favorite
getting an
YouTube.
evaluation.
That's one of my favorite YouTube's channels at the moment. I mean, pretty much since you really try to do anything scientifically or physics wise in the game of golf, please check out Tyler's Performance Institute. Greg Rose is like the science behind it. Then you got I forgot his partner, but he's the golf guy behind it. Like as far as like
Hmm.
technique and kind of being like the swing coach and stuff like that. But they're a really good tandem. They have like a bunch. They actually just did a full hour assessment post on Josh Allen. They've done pros, so they right now they have a guy that's like that's 50, just turned 50. He's getting ready to make a push for like the senior tour and stuff like that. So they did an
Hmm.
assessment on him as far as physical assessment. He's like, I have the game. I just need to get up and get physically fit and set to, be playing all these multiple rounds, get a
Yep.
lot of extra distance off the tee. They did what's his face? Adrian Maronk. He's a ping guy, but plays Vokey wedges. So they allowed him into the TPI and got him dialed in as far as his wedge goes.
Okay.
Um, who else did they do? They did Aldrich Potgear. They did Maria Lopez. They've done a lot of like prominent and up and coming golfers and stuff like that. So like, there's no real rhyme or reason. If you're, a Titleist staffer, then you pretty much can try to make an effort to go out there, and it's a real cool deal. So yeah, just a shameless plug. Not that we're affiliated in any way at all, but
Right.
yeah,
Just good content, right?
for
Shout out to
sure.
Mike with the correction here. Plus 4. Get it right. Excuse
Oh,
us, sir.
okay, bud. So sorry.
Thanks for tuning in. Um, so yeah, man. Let's swing over. But just again, congratulations to Miyu Yamashita. Seems like a very sweet young lady. Future is going to be bright. Like most golf leagues these days, the youth movement is taking over. These guys coming out as rookies, earning a lot of money, just really playing people out of their spot. So if you're not at the top of your game, you might end up in the booth. Oh, speaking of, you texted me about God, what was her name that was in the booth this week?
So Yan Ryu.
It did not go great.
Thank
Um,
you. It's like her third or
chemistry
fourth
takes a while.
try. It's not good.
No, chemistry takes a while to build, and timing as well. And you could tell like there were so many instances where she was trying to fit in a joke or land a point, but missing the moment. And like
Yeah,
her kind of co-anchors would like just keep it moving and talk over her, and she tried to come back to it. It was so awkward. And for
yeah,
y'all, if you're new here, I do not watch really any sports with the volume on. I don't like commentators. It's just not great for me. And my it didn't add anything to me to the experience. And so usually I have it on mute with a handful of people, with the exception of a handful of people. So Marcus kind of had said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I turned it on. I tried to bear it, and I was like, "This is uncomfortable."
yeah. I think right now it's bittersweet because they have some really good former players on there. I mean, Sophie Walker was a longtime European Tour player, ladies European Tour player. And she was a friend of Mark Crossfield. She was on a couple of his course vlogs way back in the gap. But I think both of them have just unfortunately a way of incorporating too much of their own personal experiences into
Hmm.
this instead of the more secular, more universal terms and stuff like that. Like Soyeon Ryu was really trying to harp on Hyujin Choi being nervous and trying to
Hmm.
cross the line over and stuff like that. And it's like the only I'm not saying the only pertinent thing that she said or that was very warranted that she said was but she talked about how Choi was coming over from the Korean PGA, was a prolific winner over there, and everybody was expecting it to transfer. But as we all know, it's a different beast. You're playing different courses. It's not always going to translate immediately. So I do think she had a good
Yeah.
point there, but it was a lot of points that, just like you said, were very hollow, just didn't hit like she thought they were. And then, I don't know. I don't want to turn it into a beef with Sophie Walker, but she's really annoying me right now with her on course reporting and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
not my favorite right now. It was refreshing to start, and I always like her. I always like her insight because she was on the show like very, very much so like a PGA Tour player, like an LPGA player. Didn't hardly miss a
Yeah.
fairway. Always knew her numbers. Hardly missed a green in regulation. Always had the sure foot shot, but just didn't really cross the finish line over there. But yeah, she's got some work to do. She's got some work to do.
But yeah, it's so yeah, it's hard. It's a tough job. Don't get me wrong. Like it is very hard. We've seen players do well. Um, so I watched the commentary. Like I didn't get to watch a ton of the World Series, But I watched a video this morning of a guy really complimenting Mookie Betts on the coverage and kind of differentiating um, himself from Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, and Big Papi, and just how well Mookie Betts. And I understand he's got like another podcast that he's got going on where he interviews players, and it was just saying how well he stands out above these other players. It's definitely a talent. Just knowing ball, knowing the
Yeah,
sport that you're talking about is not enough. You have to have the broadcast timing. Timing is very important in that scenario. When to pull a story out, when not to throw your really current. I mean, she's still trying to play. People that you play with under the bus. That's it's a very delicate balance where
agreed.
you can lose your credibility as a player very quickly. So hopefully she improves, watches the tape back, gets some coaching, especially if this is something that she's going to pursue post career, which
Yeah.
is clearly fast approaching. So, any other notes from the Maybank Championship before we move on to our next one?
No, not really. No, I don't know. I mean, I just hope the LPGA keeps building on this good momentum. Again, great course, great production. The stars are out, and they're literally playing again this week. I mean, you just can't beat
Mhm.
it with a stick right now for the LPGA. Let's see,
I
they
know
play.
they're on a good tear.
They're on a good tear. Okay, so they play. And I just wanna go through and look again. They literally don't miss a week.
No,
Everybody's
they're
flying from
straight through.
Japan and going straight to Florida. And then the next week is a CME Tour Championship. Swear to God, they don't miss a week,
Yeah,
brother.
and I'll be honest, like it was very impressive for them to be able to get a lot of their stars and popular players to travel. Having Angel Yin, having some American extension out there, cool. Like one of the better players on the LPGA tour. Having Gino show up every single week. Again, she's going to bring her own contingent of fans.
Yeah,
They were swarming her everywhere, waiting, the volunteers waiting for autographs, trying to get a golf ball from her, all these things. So
yeah,
the LPGA is doing well, and again, they're getting their name players to show up week in and week out. Hell, Lydia Ko was there and also had a pretty decent contingent of people following her as well as a Hall of Famer. So
mhm,
we got to watch her make a really nice long putt on a hole. So um, it's crazy. As tiny as Lydia Ko is, again, the calves are like nuts, bro. So yeah, they're showing up every single week, as you said, playing some really cool courses. I'm trying to get out on that other one before we get out of here. This week, I think they had to close for maintenance, but I am trying. They have 36 holes on that complex. Of course,
yeah,
like it's kind of like Golf Club of Houston, right? There's a pro kind of tournament side, and then there's the more kind of playable side. So I'm hoping, like before we leave out of Malaysia next week, that I can get a game out on the tournament course that they played over this last weekend. But we'll see. It is open for public play.
okay.
Um, so gonna get a little bit nerdy. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Yep. Let's get nerdy. So Michael Kim, PGA Tour player, kind of in a bit of a resurgence the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years, where he's really come back on the scene, but always great on X in terms of uh, showing the back end of the professional life, giving a lot of insight, talking, kind of corresponding it with what works for amateurs, what doesn't work for amateurs. I wasn't even aware of this, but saw an article about him for the last 3 years. He has been playing a zero torque putter. I had no idea, and he's tried a few different ones. But he has a really long thread, again, links down below to the X thread that he went through his experience of why he is using a zero torque putter. and talks about why it probably isn't the best solution for most amateurs, even though they're gaining popularity. Again, anytime you see a pro, doing well with one, we see JJ Spawn winning the U.S. Open with the zero torque putter. Um, Brian Harmon's been rocking one forever as well, but his tendency was to pull, or excuse me, push a lot of putts, and so for him, he said the zero torque putter allows him to keep the face closed, more than he had in the past, and he said that he attributes that to his putts inside of 8 feet percentage being so high and being one of the better players on tour, which we know that's where a lot of the money's made, cleanups, reasonable birdie putts. But he was really just kind of like being reasonable about the zero torque putter and ultimately said most amateurs probably should not get one. So what do you think about the zero? I mean, I know you've never been a huge fan of the zero torque, especially the center shafted ones. What are your thoughts on his feedback as a professional, um, to back to amateurs?
Listen, I want y'all to go back through the tapes. I have explained it. I have explained it probably at least 2 times, just off the rip, off my memory. And then I think it's actually been 3 times, but it's the same thing that I've always harped on. We don't have 8 hours in the day to be as disciplined and train strike and train a putting stroke from the ground up with a coach, with video, with 3D technology, with a laser to see what our faults are and what we need to work on. A zero torque putter, a square to square putter, physics wise, is probably one of the most difficult things to do for an amateur golfer that does not make the same stroke every time around. For a professional golfer that literally does this 5 to 7 times out of the week and practices non-competitive rounds with a coach, they have time to hone this in and be able to use the most effective tools in the game. So them using a zero torque putter, a square to square putter, a center shafted putter, however you want to label it, is always going to be productive for them because they're able to be disciplined enough to go and actually make a straight back and straight through stroke. More than times than not, amateur golfers, even if you're a scratch golfer, you still don't make the same stroke every time down. And that's the best of the amateur game. You don't make the same stroke down. So I don't think I completely agree. It's not the best stroke for them. Now I think there is a number of putters that you can use where you'll have a heel shafted putter and it'll still be a very not a like a now all of a sudden my words are leaving me. It's not like it's a it's a face balance putter. So it's not going to be as stable as a zero torque putter, but it'll allow, like, for instance, I have a Del Mar putter here. This Del Mar putter is much toe balance as you can get. Like in the name of the game of the modern game.
What weight do you have on the toe of that putter?
These are 20-gram weights.
Wow.
I have 30s in my Phantom that's in my bag. Just because you see Rod sees my putting stroke, it's a very low and slow stroke. I'm not a quick popper, I'm not a Brant Snedeker, nothing like that. Even for a 3-foot putt, I'm gonna take it back to the toe and then right. In decel to my own fault. But yeah, so you have face balance putters to help you out with that, amateurs. But if you feel like you're open to close putter like I feel like I am, then yes, you want to use something with a little bit more toe flow. And there's a number of different spider putters you can do with that. They have different models that you can use. There's different necks that you can use that help you out with that. Plumber's neck versus the short slant neck versus the bend, the single bend, the double bend. That is why, as I told you before, please get fit for a putter just the same as you get fit
Yeah.
for your wedges and your irons. It is just that most important. What do we say? The majority of your shots are going to be from 40 yards and in. Make sure your wedges
Right.
and your putter are designed for you. Spend the
Right.
money.
And
That is an investment
I
worth
think
making.
to underscore your point, and anecdote that it reminded me. I played a course before we left Bangkok that it was on the outskirts. It was apparently Gino Thiddekoon's um, home course, and so I ended up linking up with some group of guys that said, "Oh yeah, she was out here one time." And at no point, this is a course that doesn't even have a full range. All she did was work on short game for 5 hours plus, and in addition to, of course, like having to interact with all the staff members and people that were coming through. But for 5 hours, she was in this short game area, chipping, putting. Do you have 5 hours to dedicate to your craft? No.
Trying to tell
And
you.
one piece of complicated equipment, um, being a zero torque putter is not going to solve all of your problems. Like
Right.
spending 600, $1,000 for a putter is not going to do it. It cannot fix your inconsistencies in your stroke. You're better off, like Marcus said, buying a spider and then, with a standard positioned neck and then spending a little more time on putting and chipping than you do now. It's just it's a pretty simple equation, but everybody wants the quick fix. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to just buy their solution.
Yeah. I just to kind of conclude it, I feel like in your practice sessions, if you're an athlete, especially a basketball player, when you start off, what do? You start off with some short shots, you hit you some free throws, then you get into your workout. Then to conclude the workout, what do? You go back through, you hit you some short shots, you finish at the rim, you hit you some free throws to close it up. Practice with golf should be very similar. You should start with some chips and putts, play a little short game, get some up and downs in. Then you go to your full swing, and then to dial it back in and make sure that everything is lining up, because your chip and your pitch is just a very small minute resemblance of your full swing. You should go back to the short game area and refine that again, because your adrenaline is up. You're trying to make big swings. You need to be able to come back down and still have the heart and the adrenaline in check to be able to make a short chip. Make sure you're making a clean shot, clean lot. Practice that stuff in the beginning, practice that stuff in the end. I felt like when I first started doing that and incorporating that in my game when I was practicing a lot, I used to stay in the Houston Heights. And if you're familiar with it, you know how close that is to Memorial. So I would just drive on down to Memorial, 10 minutes or less, and I would do that. I'd work on my short game. I'd hit like a small or medium bucket of full shots, and I'd go right back to the short game area to finish up, making sure I'm hitting it as close as possible, making sure I'm trying to go aim for flags. If you feel confident enough, then you should always be trying to hold out chips and putts and things of that nature. You don't always have to dial it down and be like, you know what, I just want to get it close. Okay, if it's a 30 or a 35 footer, I get it. But if it's something right off the green, or if it's, 15 to 20 foot, you should be trying to make that putt. So just
Yeah.
words of wisdom.
um, it's interesting. I feel like we're getting a bunch of putter drops late in the year here.
Yeah.
We saw just a couple weeks ago, Lab introduces their first kind of
Heel shafted, a
heel
normal putter.
shafted zero torque putter. Still zero torque, but we saw drops from Odyssey, which I'm gonna pull that up just because I had it from our chat. From Marcus and I's messages. But So they've changed the paint scheme. I'm curious how many pros will adopt this and keep the paint scheme. I know, kind of doing some quick reading on it, that there is some psychology, which a lot of, I mean, you hit me to that a while ago. All the mental stuff that goes into kind of the
Yeah,
ball and alignment stuff with putters. So I know there's got to be some level of scientific research behind the red and black paint scheme. But this is Odyssey's latest drop with the jailbird and a different insert that they're putting out in the market. So I'm curious how many people will actually adopt it. I'm currently rocking kind of the blue and white jailbird. I have loved it. I really enjoy the feel with the AI stuff, which I don't know how much I believe in that, but it's been a good putter. So we're getting a lot of putter drops here at the end of the year. Usually we don't. I guess we get putters in the winter and fall, and then full new clubs in the beginning of the year, like January, February. So it's been cool to nerd out on the new putters.
yeah.
But yeah, the latest and greatest from Odyssey. I am curious. The article, I think I have it linked in the description as well, and it's just talking about bladed putters. Will they ever come back? And I don't think. I don't know. My opinion is that bladed putters are done. I don't think there's enough technology that they can pack into a blade to overtake what mallet style putters have become. I went through another cool page on Instagram. You should definitely follow them. SMS on Tour. They have a website as well, but I just follow the Instagram page. They get a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and they posted pretty much like the putters from every tour, DP World Tour, FedEx Cup, Korean Tour, and I'm gonna say in every case, 95% of the putters are bladed, or not, excuse me, are mallets or half mallets, something with some tech and just help behind it. Blades are far few and in between in terms of top players. Do you think blades ever come back? And that's including tech in them. Do you think they can make a run in the way that we saw them in the past?
Realistically, no. I mean, realistically, blades are going to be more field based than anything. Now, I do think that if they can figure out a way to make like the wide blade more prominent, I think they'll be able to make a resurgence. But I think just like what you were saying is if they can't figure out a way to correct the moment of inertia, or for short terms, the MOI, you it won't make sense to have them. It's just not a practical thing besides an aesthetic, a look, something that you feel like is just, swaggy or drippy or whatever you want to call it. But a lot of these, blade putters just don't have the same forgiveness. They just don't have the same, feel and forgiveness and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it might just full on be a thing of the past. You're always going to have you're going to always have your Hideki Matsuyamas. You're always going to
Right.
have your Ludwig Alberts. Ludwig Albert has been playing that same Odyssey. He is Titleist through and through, except for his Odyssey putter, and that's not leaving. It's like
Mhm.
a Traverse. It's a black and white. It's got a nice hot face or whatever. Hideki Matsuyama has 48 putters. 47 of them are
Right.
absolutely blades and some form of a center shafted or weird heel shaft. Ben On actually uses a center shafted blade style Scotty, and he's like on that tour, pretty much that tour use only. So he gets some really cool stuff gets dropped to him too. So that's pretty much the only three I know off top. I mean, but
It's
you
pretty
think about it,
sparse.
right? You think about it. You think about a guy like Luke Donald. If you're a ball knower of the game, Luke Donald was the number one golfer in the world at one point, and it was for a damn good reason. It's because he putted his butt off, and he's had that same Odyssey fanged putter in the bag for forever. And he was a trendsetter for that. You know, it always had the forgiveness. It had the alignment, you know, the alignment rods and stuff like that on it, pretty much built into the design. So yeah, shout out to Luke Donald for knowing what was up, even in like the mid 2000s era type deal,
Right, right,
or
right.
was it like beginning of 2010s before it really kind of fell off? Because he was on the Ryder Cup 2012, the year they came back and won. He was a part of
Yeah.
that too. So it was around the 2010s. But yeah, I don't know, bro. I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, maybe the Scotty Cam fastback or whatever, like that's like a that's a remnants of of a wide blade. If they do like a jailbird mini and tighten it up, maybe that could be something
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah, but
That's
I
not
think
as cool
they
as it gets though.
to do that that little hole in the middle of the putter, I think is part of the tech. So I think they'd have a hard time doing that without screwing up something else, you know,
Yeah,
in the tech. Yeah, I'm looking at the DP World Tour playoff lineup, and I mean, there's like five blades in the entire group, and like you
yeah,
said,
literally.
there's even a couple of wide blades. So I feel like that's a possibility, but like the straight, um, old school Scotty, that's just a thing of the past. And it's just, look, if you got the hands for it and the time to practice with the blade, cool. Like if you
Yeah,
have, no problems with it, why mess it up? But also, I think if you can make more putts, we've seen Scott transform his game. Always was hitting it on the greens, but was not making enough putts. But now that he's making a handful more putts every single week as a result of that spider, I
yeah,
mean, it says a lot. It says a
yeah,
lot. I mean, you want to go against what the number one player in the world does and the change that he made that transformed his game. It doesn't
yeah.
seem like a very smart play to me, but to each his
Number
own.
one and number two golfer. What's Tommy?
True.
Tommy, he's got to be top five too. He's got a blade. I mean, he doesn't have a blade. He had a blade for a long time, and then he started putting better as well when he got the tour, the spider
Yep.
tour with the weird alignment lines all across the face.
with
Weirdo.
with all 50 of them, all
Yeah,
50.
bro.
Um, I don't want to get into this little nerdy the club setup. I put it in there talking about the handicaps and clubs because at the end of the day, I was going to go through it all to say, go get fit. At the end of the day,
Right.
I think that's the answer with everything in amateur golf is do not think no matter what your handicap level is, whether you're a 30 or whether you're a single digit, getting fit for your clubs, for your putter, for your ball, so you know like what ball is optimized for your game, will make the game a lot funner. It'll a lot more fun. You'll play better. Um, Even if you're just like a casual who wants to just fuck around and go drink, you'll still play better golf. I promise you, it doesn't cost what you think it costs. Go
Right.
find a local club fitter, some guy that's gonna give you the time. To me, I'd say I had a couple of fittings at like big box stores, and they sucked. I mean, ultimately, you have to work a lot harder versus somebody who's willing to say, "Oh yeah, come to my fitting for 50 bucks for like irons or a full bag fit for 150." And if you buy
Yeah.
your club setups from me, that will go towards your
They literally
purchase.
negate it. Mm-hmm. Literally.
Right. It's a great experience, and you're not going to get overcharged. You're not going to get the shaft peering and all these other little things that make getting fit from a big box store super expensive, right? So you should be able to find irons for around 1,000 or under $1,000, just depending on what you end up with. It can be reasonable, but like $2,500 iron builds, crazy. That's not realistic if you pick the right
Yeah.
fitter. But to me, that's the answer for most. AMs out there is to go get a good fitting. I guarantee you'll enjoy the game a lot more. It transformed me. I'll say that. I'll say I saw big strides in my game from going to get fit versus thinking I could just grab some crap off the rack that other amateurs were playing. So, any other
Agreed.
thoughts on that one?
No, no, I agree. I mean, your bag ain't gonna be changing like the most your bag is gonna change from top to bottom. The more your handicap goes down, is you might add another wedge instead of like another fairway wood or hybrid or something like that,
Right.
because you're gonna be more consistent off the tee. You'll need a little bit more, versatility around the greens and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I don't disagree at all with that. I would absolutely say you should get fit as soon as you can.
What about actually listening to your fitter and not being hard headed? I think
What?
that's fair,
What?
Mike. I think
Okay,
that sounds very personal. That
I'm
sounds very
saying, who's
personal,
catching
though.
strays out here, bro? Like, what are you saying? Who is this directed to? Your guests aren't watching this
Uh,
show, buddy.
is he talking to you though? That
No,
sounds like that'd
he
be
doesn't fit me.
okay. Okay. I will say for next week's show, we're gonna hit this. What is it called? What's the official name? Internet invite. So there's been a lot of drama around that, and again, it's like anything reality TV based. When you sign up for something like that, you lose control of your image and likeness. And apparently, Roger Steele has already been portrayed as a not so
Dickhead.
pleasant guy, and Luke Kwan also, which I mean, there's a lot of people going hard for Luke Kwan, but he's also been portrayed in these. I think they've got 3 episodes out, two or three already out. There's one dropping on Monday, so I'm gonna catch up on that. We're not gonna be able to cover all of them because they have some dropping kind of mid-November, but I do want to hit it and talk about it in detail. It's one of the reasons, like like they'll on the internet they will say, oh, collaborations will help you grow, find other content creators, and this internet invite thing is a big reason of why I would love to keep our little corner of the internet small, intimate, because the bullshit that comes with like Roger Steele and Luke Kwan both like having to take mental breaks because they're being harassed now. Crazy. Like Luke Kwan's literally leaving to go to like Vietnam and like Indonesia or Singapore, one of those two, to take a break and get away from the noise. And same thing with like Roger Steele is like, I got to get away. That's just not something I like having fun. I like talking to Marcus and keeping it chill. So yeah, we'll cover it. We'll watch the episodes and talk about that next week when we come back. What other random? We're done with golf for the week. What other randomness? First full week of the NBA. What are your thoughts so far?
Um, you're seeing some. I mean, in typical, I wouldn't even say this in typical NBA fashion. This is a new year and some new stuff going on. Some teams that don't normally win are winning. Some teams that are good or bad. My Pistons beat my Mavs, so it was a good Mexico game. Okay, hey, I told Rod this in our chat. I'm telling y'all now. Just go ahead and put it in your calendars. Cade Cunningham, that boy is next up. The big guard move, the big guard point guard. He's a 3-level scorer. I mean, but in the NBA Mexico game, he literally had 21 points and 18 assists. So you don't tell me that these guys aren't looking to distribute and really, help out the team. So all these guys that y'all think are really trying to get to it as far as buckets, they still can distribute. And Nico Harrison is always and forever unforgivable. The more the clips come out and the more we see Ozempic Luka, I am even more perturbed at the move. But whatever, we got cool. We got Kyrie coming back before the end of the 2025. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep it positive as far as my Mavs go. Maybe one of these shows, y'all see me in like one of the city editions in that green, that Mavs green, because it is too clean.
It's
It is
too
too.
clean.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if you've seen it yet, but John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies look like they might be coming to an end at some point. They need to get in the office and have a discussion because that
They
man is
suspended
tripping.
him again, right?
Say that again.
Did they suspend him again, right?
Yeah, for conduct detrimental to the team, and I think I know it's got to be related to a post game interview. He's 3 for 14, doesn't play down the stretch or limited minutes down the stretch, and they end up losing. And when the reporters are asking what could he do different, he says, "Go ask the coaching staff." That's his answer to everything. Very much went like Marshawn Lynch on him.
Mm,
It's tacky. That man needs to grow up.
he
Um,
does.
still,
I'm trying to think about where he could go. Where he would get the same value out of, where he could continue to be this quote unquote portray this YN stuff,
slasher.
even though he's
Yeah, I
seven
know.
years in. He's 7 years into the league now. Doesn't feel like it. Doesn't feel like it. 7 years into the league now at this point. So my mans need to figure some things out for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That one's bad. It's kind of hard. It's like watching a train wreck. You want to look away, but I
Yeah.
also want to see what's happening. But yeah, NBA engaging start to the year. Golf, we powered through. Hell, I'm just looking up the Asian tour schedule, and since I'm very close to Singapore right now, Asian tour is playing in Singapore. They got Taylor Gooch,
Yeah.
Paul Casey, Peter Uline
Oh, Harold
showing up
Varner
in
was in that thing too. Harold
he
Varner, I
was
saw
he was.
him. Now, I don't know if I saw him in some J's side eye emoji. I don't know. I don't think he lost that sponsorship, but I didn't see him in no
I don't
J's.
think so. I have to
No
double
way.
check.
Yeah, no way. He would have just lost that. But yeah, I didn't.
No,
He
but
was.
I
He
I
was in
might
like
see if there's
a little red
I
eye.
might have to see if there's a day red eye or a day train down to Singapore and catch a round. You know, like that's the fun thing about being over here. It's like you're never too far away from a
From
what is
another city.
winter for y'all Asian tour event.
Let's see. Yeah, I was, bro. I just looked it up. I was looking it up when I talked to you about it, and it was like Thailand and Malaysia flying hour and a half on the
Right.
train, 22 hours. I'm like, man, gone on,
I know.
gone
And the crazy
on.
thing, and I have another place where I talk more about this move, but the biggest incentive is if I just took like a backpack or a simple carry on. I mean, this is a round trip flight for probably less than $100. So
Literally, go ahead and catch Singapore Air real quick
I know,
at the
right?
bottom of the island. Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
mean, yeah, that'd be some good. Just yeah, okay. Call it a business expense, and then we'll talk about it on the show next week.
I know, right? All right, y'all. Bearded Bros Golf Show. We appreciate y'all joining us. You know, we're here every single week. Go check the records. We're here every week, whether rain, sleet, snow, travel days, etc. We're gonna show up. So lock in with us. Hit that subscribe button. We'll catch y'all again. I'm Rod.
I'm Marcus.
Later.